talking with you guys. Thank you so much. This podcast is about you guys and your journey in music and starting Mercy and how you guys got to where you are now.
Okay, right on.
Cool. Seth, why don't you start? Where are you both originally from? DC?
I mean, I spent I guess my formative years out in this area, sort of Northern Virginia, but I spent the first half of my life outside Seattle. So I kind of split my childhood 50-50 on both coasts.
Born in Seattle then. Okay, awesome. Tell me about that a little bit.
I was born in Hong Kong, actually. I moved to Seattle.
Gosh.
Yeah.
Whoa, tell me about that. Your military family?
No, my mom was teaching at the University of Hong Kong, and my dad was working on sort of the beginnings of the infrastructure that laid the basis for the internet in the 1990s in Hong Kong. And so I just was a sideshow to that.
Wow. That's incredible. How long were you in Hong Kong for?
I'd say I was 94 to 97, 3 years ish. So, I mean, I was still little, but.
Wow. Have you been back since?
Yeah. I went back when I was around 9, and then I went back again around 2014.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow, that's awesome. That's really. Do you have dual citizenship or no?
No, I'm a naturalized American citizen because my parents were both American citizens. So,
got it.
And I guess like technically I would be a British citizen or a citizen of the UK because it was a colony at the time, and we left right before the handover or when the transition started. So, yeah, it's all a weird thing, but.
That's awesome. That's really cool, though. Okay, so then you moved to Seattle.
Yes.
What was that like? Tell me about that growing up.
It was really good. I mean, I feel like that's where I really consider my childhood starting, because that was when I was sort of online. You know, I was like conscious and I had memories of that. So
sure.
It was really good. I don't know how to describe it. I mean, it was cloudy for sure, but that was just sort of what I knew. It was just, I had nothing to compare it against. That was just my life. I mean, I haven't been back to Mercer Island where I lived in 10 years. So I mean, I have nothing, but I have like fond memories, but also some, stinging memories. Cause I had like my formative, like childhood experiences there. So, I mean, it was just, my childhood. I don't really have any words. It's hard to articulate, really.
No worries.
We flew over there on Microsoft Flight Simulator.
Oh
recently, and those memories just came rushing back to you, didn't they?
Yeah.
Oh wow.
Yeah, I spent a lot of time outside. It was rainy, but I would run around and pretend to be a clone commando from Star Wars and in the rain, and play Camino missions.
There you go.
But yeah.
Rad. Well, okay. So when did you get into music?
When I was in Washington, that was when I first started to realize that it was something that I felt like I could do, I was interested in, or I felt like I had a knack for, and I wanted to explore. And so I had my first band over there with a couple guys that I knew from middle school, and we just played exclusively My Chemical Romance covers, and that was sort of how I learned how to play guitar and like wrap my head around song structure.
Okay.
So around 6th grade.
Rad. When did you move to DC? Same time period?
8th grade. So 2008.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right on. Okay. So you moved there. When 6th grade is when you started the My Chemical Romance stuff? And
yeah.
So you're still in Seattle at that time?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. All right. Right on. Well, what about you, Jack? Are you originally from DC?
Yeah, I was born in DC, and then like just months later I ended up moving to Northern Virginia. So technically, yeah, I'm from DC.
Okay, right on. And how did you get into music?
Pretty much all through my older brother. I think it was Guitar Hero that really sealed the deal for me. He brought home Guitar Hero 2, and I was pretty into that. And then they came out with the version with the drum set.
Oh yeah, Rock Band.
Yeah, and those skills translate over pretty 1-to-1. So, and then my brother also had an actual, acoustic drum set, so I just got in on that. So, yeah.
Right on. So that you always were a drummer then?
Yeah. Yep.
Okay. Rad. Okay. And what were you like? What was your brother listening to? What did he get you into?
I really was never quite into the music that he was into. He was into like AC/DC, a lot of metal and rock.
Okay.
Heavy rock music. and I kind of got into it from like the Killers and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
It was just more like, I don't know. I love video games at the time, so I was like, oh, Guitar Hero, just hit the buttons, and it just slowly morphed into a love for music.
Sure. And with drums, were you in drumline or anything in school?
No, never did any of that stuff. Looked like fun though. Kind of wish I did.
What about bands? When did you start playing with other people?
Dude, no, I didn't do like almost any extracurricular stuff. It was pretty much just our band.
Oh, really? So your band was the first band that you guys playing together was the first band?
It was my first band, not his.
Right.
We had met in high school through a mutual friend, and yeah, it was my first band.
Okay, so you guys both met in high school then?
Yeah.
And the band started in high school.
No, I think the initial so I met our keyboard player, Colby, when I moved to Virginia in 2008. We went to the same middle school.
Okay.
It was called Cooper Middle School. Did you go to Cooper?
No.
Oh, okay. Well, so Colby and I met, and then we started collaborating, and then high school comes, and then I meet Jack. He was the next sort of person in this project that I met, and he and I were in a metal band, ironically, being signed to Rise Records. We don't play metal music, but we were in a like Rise Records sort of style metalcore band. That was our initial. We were playing like Devil Wears Prada covers and stuff like that.
Okay.
And so that was our first collaboration. And then I meet Nick in junior year of high school, and we start a separate band. And then eventually all these different relationships sort of coalesce over the years into Merci. So.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right on.
It's kind of like I guess you could say the initial collaboration, like I said, that sparked the journey that led to us being here talking to you started in 2008 when I met Colby, but we sort of all met each other along the way through different projects.
Okay, so when did this band like officially form then?
I mean, it was less of a formation and more of an evolution out of a previous band where the previous band that Merci is sort of an extension of started in 2013, I guess you could say. That was when we got Colby on keys and Jack on drums in the band, and then me and Nick and Justin, and that was really when everything started to sort of like lock in. Or Justin came a little bit later, but we were sort of operating under a different name for a couple years and touring a lot.
Oh, okay.
So and then it eventually led to us being offered the record deal, and so then we felt like that our old name was sort of a moniker that felt really good when we were in high school, but being 24, 25, 26, that we wanted to now sort of adopt a different sort of creative posture.
Okay.
So that's basically where it comes
Okay, so the band got signed, but doing because of what your other band or the same band under a different name had accomplished.
Yes. Yeah. Exactly.
Got it. Okay, well, tell me about the beginning stages of that, or this band, but under the different name. Or did you guys record like a demo and like you're talking about touring? Like,
yeah, I mean, it was pretty typical. I mean, it was just a process of writing, producing, and recording a lot of EPs, touring on those EPs, building relationships locally, and then eventually across the East Coast, and that eventually led to us having a relationship with our current management, who got us the record deal. And it was just a really slow. I mean, it's just one of those typical stories where it's just baby steps, just little teeny tiny movements, like moves forward, and sort of making mistakes, and putting out an EP and seeing some results from it, and then saying to ourselves, okay, well, we did X, Y, and Z right and this wrong, so let's do another EP and change the formula a little bit. And every EP we released was sort of a refinement of the release and writing process. And it was just sort of like this reflexive sort of self-improving cycle, I suppose. And then that was punctuated by promotion and touring and stuff like that.
There's a lot of moments of getting pushed to the brink where you're just like, what are we doing?
Yes.
Is any of this worth it?
There was a lot of that sort of attitude pervade the entire process, where we were like, man, what, like, is there even a point anymore? I mean, like, that last EP was cool, but I mean, are we really like, what's the point here? Like, are we, it's hard to describe. There's a lot of cynicism that sort of builds up when you're doing what you love, but you're just wanting more and more and more and more, and then your metrics of success keep rising, and then you start to spiral a little bit in a weird way, I feel like.
Sure. Well, with that, like you talk about touring, like when did you guys do your first tour?
2014, maybe end of 2014, I think. Well, I mean, we had sort of when was it? Did we? I mean, we kind of did little weekend runs where we would do a couple shows here and there, where we would say, okay, well, we have a show in so and so city, so we're gonna book a show on our way to that show, but I wouldn't really call that a tour. I guess 2013.
Yeah, we'll go with that.
Yeah.
Okay, so you would book shows outside of Virginia, DC area, and if you could catch something else on that route or whatever, you'd play that show as well.
Yeah, and that was the beginning of it.
Right on. And with these EPs, like what was the success? You said you were, you were raising the bar of what success was, but like what was the baby steps that kind of led to where you are now?
I think it was just this continual refinement of the art itself, where we started the band literally in like a garage band sort of sense, where we were just it was just us in the room on our instruments playing. And then when we would make a record, the record was just a really raw capture of that sort of experience of just a band playing. And then every EP that we would release, the production value would increase, and we would sort of, just do everything we could to like really, up our game in the studio to make really exciting, cool records. But
were you guys always working with the same producer or different people on each EP?
Well, he actually produced an EP of a band that sort of became this current band. You produced the first Archie EP. We recorded it in your bedroom.
Oh wow!
Yeah, I don't want to talk about that one. It was not very good. It was sound quality.
It was before he was in the band, and I had known him through another project. So, but I mean, I guess to answer the question generally, we've generally always worked with this guy named Ben Green out of DC who has a studio called Ivacoda, and he was in a band called Fairweather, which was really big in like the sort of post-hardcore scene in like the early 2000s. And then on this record, we brought in our friend Sean Robinson, who's also a producer. And so between myself, Sean, and Ben, we sort of functioned as the production team for our current album that I guess we're going to eventually release. But yeah, I mean, we sort of really kept things close to home. And always
awesome.
have.
What about you talked about meeting your manager, and he's there, how you got signed to Rise. How did you meet the management?
We did a tour with a band called Under Fire, and our manager was the bassist in that band. And,
oh, okay.
And it was a good experience, and we sort of became friends, and then we just went our separate ways. But then a couple years down the road, we released our last independent EP. He hit us back up, and he was like, I'm doing more management work now, and I'd like to manage you guys. And so it just sort of was a connection that came back around from one little tour that we did.
Wow. And tell me why the name change? And was that before you guys signed to Rise or after you had signed the record deal?
It was before. Oh no. How would you describe it?
It was like during the whole thing. We were like, if we're going to be, pursuing this record deal, it might be a good opportunity to just sort of start, not from scratch, but maybe just to clear the air. Honestly, one of the biggest reasons is that the old name, it does not roll off the tongue too well. It gets pretty annoying, pretty disheartening when people ask you about the band and you're like, oh yeah, the name is this, and they're like, can you repeat that?
Oh,
it pretty much happens every single time. We were just like, maybe this is the opportunity if we're gonna do this.
Sure. Okay. And why tell me about the deal with Rise. I mean, that must have been a huge moment for you guys.
Yeah, it was pretty insane. It was sort of it was really, like, honestly a little scary because
Mm-hmm.
we were, and this is pre-pandemic, so we were anticipating that we were going to sign this deal, make this record, and we were just going to like go, you know,
Okay.
and we were like, okay, you know what, we've been asking for this and we're about to get it, so everybody like buckle up here. um but I mean, my personal philosophy on it was that, I mean, you only live once, right? I mean, you just gotta, if you're gonna get the opportunity to do it, like, you might as well just give it a shot. And I still feel that way personally, but
Mm-hmm. So you,
Sorry, go
sorry.
ahead.
No, you go ahead.
Oh, yeah, it's been pretty crazy. I guess one misconception I had about getting on a label is that you kind of assume that everything basically just gets handled for you besides the music writing.
Mm-hmm.
And like as we've worked with them, we've figured out that it's like it's much more rewarding to sort of have a give and a take kind of thing. So like we ended up shooting our own music video on an iPhone.
Okay. And is that the Foolish Me video?
That's the Haunt Me one.
Okay.
But it's just been really nice to have those resources and have them be able to help us out on a lot of stuff.
Sure. That's awesome. You said you signed with them pre, pandemic. How did that like kind of affect it all? Like that must have been a pretty shock. I mean, you have these big plans and you're signed to a record label and then it's, well, actually, no one's leaving the house for a year now.
yeah, we were in the middle of the recording process, and so we had sort of just started to get into tracking the record when the pandemic hit, and we were all just sort of saying to ourselves, okay, we have no idea what this thing is or how this is going to happen. This is like something out of a movie, so let's just all, this can wait, this recording can wait. So we all sort of sequestered for a couple months, and then when we were able to restart the recording process several months later, about 3 months later, we did. But I think in some ways, and I've described it this way before, that it was sort of a blessing in disguise, that because those 3 months that we got where we were just sitting at home quarantining, I personally took it as time to, sort of evaluate the work that we had been doing in the studio and sort of really ask myself if what more I could be doing personally to like make it like even more legit, or the recordings even better. And sort of, because there was this sort of like, whenever you make a record, it's sort of like a discovery process where you're sort of learning things along the way and applying them as you go. And you may do something on one song and say to yourself, okay, this song now sets the bar that we have to get all these other songs up to. And so that quarantine period was an opportunity to do that, for me personally. But I mean, now we've sort of adapted, I'd say.
What about you, Jack? Were you like, you get this deal and then it's kind of, did it feel like it was all taken away?
Not really. I mean, it was obviously pretty heartbreaking, but as far as musicians go, it seemed that we were probably in a better spot than most just because we didn't exist yet. So it's like we essentially had the opportunity to just sort of wait, as opposed to like some musicians that, I saw bands that had put out an album like 2 weeks before the full lockdown, having to like cancel their shows. That was horrible to watch. So like I'm kind of not too upset about it. I would love to get out on the road though.
Yeah.
But patience.
Sure. So was the record already written before it all stopped, and you guys were in the phase of recording the whole album, or did you have certain songs that you were ready to record?
I'd say about 85 to 90% of it was written, and that there were some songs where we wanted to, the demo was pretty much there, but there were obviously little sections that we were like, okay, Seth needs to finish the lyrics, or we need to figure out what this guitar part is going to be, or what this section is going to be. So, and that's typically stuff that we've done pretty rapidly while the recording process has been going on. But yeah, it was pretty much fully formed before we went into the studio, because it was just a collection of demos that we had been aggregating over basically the past 2 years.
And with the songs, like the record is done, or are you still working on the recording process of it?
We're in the mastering process now.
Oh, right on.
We're in the home stretch.
Cool. And I guess the song he released the most recent one, is Foolish Me, correct?
Haunt Me is the most recent one.
Oh,
We
Haunt
did-
Me is the most
yeah,
recent one. Okay. Well, tell me about why did you decide on Foolish Me was that the first single you guys put out?
Yes. Yes,
Okay.
it was.
Why was that the lead track?
Well, it was one of the songs that was the most complete at the time, and so I think we talked as a band, and we just said to ourselves, we had three options, I think, and we just said, let's just let the label decide. You know, we're like proud of all of these songs. You know, we don't really. I feel like we were like confident with leading with any one of them, and it was just sort of we wanted to let the label sort of decide what um what
What
what they wanted to
avenue to
lead
take,
with.
kind
Yeah,
of?
yeah, exactly.
It also had like a tie-in with COVID a little bit because lyrically, the song's about like long distance relationships and love,
Mhm.
and so we thought that it might connect with people on some level about being distanced from people they care about.
Sure. That makes a lot of sense. And you said the most recent video was shot on an iPhone.
Yeah.
How is that pulled off? Tell me about that.
Man, that was a whole process. Where to begin with that one? I don't know. It
was his idea. He was the one who really like took the lead and we were trying to figure out how to do the next video. We had the next single picked out. And we were trying to figure out how to do the video, and we were throwing around treatment ideas. And he came in and was like, I think we can just do this one ourselves. Like, I'm going to figure this out. And so he came forward and like made it happen pretty much. And was like, I've got this. We've got the gimbal. You
we
can
got a
describe
gimbal.
it, but yeah.
Yeah, because the song's called Haunt Me, so we were like thinking of some horror movies that we might want to take inspiration from, and then I was just thinking that like old school pre-60s 50s black and white movies, they're pretty like campy and kind of DIY, so it was like why not? So I did some test footage where I recreated scenes from the Lighthouse. I don't know if you've ever seen that movie.
Oh yeah. Okay.
But that was the starting block, so I sent that to everybody, and it was like that was the moment where I think we realized that we might be able to do it. So yeah,
that's awesome. Yeah, I'm watching clips of it now, and it is super like spooky, like just the black and white feel and the lighting that you guys are able to accomplish on it. It looks really dope.
Thank you.
Very cool. Well, what's next for you guys? I mean, you just put this single out about a month ago now. Do you have another one ready to roll out, or are you gonna wait and put the record out as full next? Or
I think the plan is another single and another video, but we're sort of in the planning phases right now.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. Well, thank you guys so much for talking with me today. I really appreciate it.
No, thank you, man.
Thank you.
Yeah. I have one more question for you both. I want to know if I can get an answer from each of you, but I want to know if you have any advice for aspiring artists.
Oh, why don't you go first?
Oh
Or
man,
did
you can
have
make me go first.
Or
Have fun.
have fun. Is that it?
Why don't you go? I didn't even think about it.
Well, I mean, I think, and this was advice that was given to me, is that I just feel that you have to be just really persistent in shaking hands and knocking on doors, and you're going to get a lot of no's, right? But then eventually you're going to get one yes from somebody that's just going to open the door just wide enough for you to get your foot in, and then that one yes will lead to another, and I mean, you'll just be surprised in the ways that your career can develop if you're really pursuing music seriously. Like, I mean, where us being where we are now was due to one little tour and one relationship that we made, and just like an honest, genuine friendship that we had that came full circle, And so I think just to be sort of keep your eyes out and just keep networking and keep talking to people, and just don't give up, and because that next little baby step will probably be the step that sort of gets you to where you want to be.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, don't all the kids out there, don't be too hard on yourselves.
Yeah,
but also there's a certain level of like you have to be critical with yourself sometimes and pull yourself back and be able to evaluate like what's my skills, where am I going, what have I done, what could I be doing better, but like I just said, don't take that too seriously. Don't be too hard on yourselves.
Yeah, that's advice that we need to take personally.
Yeah.
We need to take our own advice, but yeah.